Good morning, sixth graders. I hope you're doing well today. I miss you guys. It sure is a weird situation, isn't it? Um, we are finishing off Picture of Freedom today. We are starting on page 149 at Monday, January 9th, 1860, and we are reading all the way through to the end of page 169. We have 20 pages to read today, which is a lot. But it's so exciting, and I really, really wish that we could have finished this book together in the classroom, but God had other plans. Um, you need to have your worksheet in front of you, a pencil in hand. If you need to get that worksheet, you need to pause right now and run and get it so that you are ready to go. All right, if you look at the top of the sheet, you have 3 vocabularies: salve, kin, and swooned. Now I'm going to give you a tip. When you are doing a crossword puzzle or some kind of a matching thing, if you see an ending on a word like ing, or it ends with an s, or it ends with an ed, your definition will also have that same ending, either ing or s or ed. So if you look at our words today, you will see that one of them is a past tense word, and there is a definition that also has that past tense ending of ed. So 3, swooned, means B, fainted. We all know who liked to swoon whenever things weren't going her way, right? It's Lily, aka Big Baby. Um, so we have salve and kin. I will use each in a sentence. You figure out which definition goes with it. Salve. Jeremiah played hide and go seek. Unfortunately, his hiding spot was in a patch of poison ivy. Jeremiah was covered from head to toe, so his mother put salve on his poor infected body. Salve is C, medicinal cream, ointment. I'm sure he will be as clear as a baby's skin by the time we all get back together again. And then that leaves 2, kin is a family. You probably knew that one already. All righty, here we go. Monday, January 9th, 1860. There is no cold like January cold. It goes through to the bone. No fire is hot enough to warm the January chills. That's what the field hands spend their time doing in January, looking for something to eat and a warm place to eat it. Most of the little children in the quarters don't have shoes or warm clothes. Mothers come to Aunt T's cabin to get salves and root potions. I've been working hard in the kitchen in the big house, slipping out food aplenty. Tuesday, January 10th, 1860. Miss Lily called me to her room today. Jumped right on me, talking about why I didn't tell her about Spicy and Mr. Harms. I didn't know. She took my shoulders in each hand, and then she sighed. Oh, Clotee, you could be my pet, my favorite, if you'd let me. You're so bright and pretty, just like your mamma. Did you know we were best friends, always laughing and laughing like silly girls do? Then we got all grown up. She made the most lovely gowns for me and my sisters. Then you let her go. Lord help me to keep my mouth. Miss Lily eyed me hard. Go on now. Get out of here, she said. You're useless. Wednesday, January 11th, 1860. True to his word, Miss Henley freed hints today. I sneaked paper out of the study while dusting a while back, so I've made a copy of the way a free paper is made up, and I got a copy of Miss Henley's signature. Hints can't leave, though, because Miss Henley said the papers have to be took to the courthouse. Sunday. Now that Mr. Harms is gone and we don't have no more study time, I don't know what the date is, but today is Sunday. Missy Dunn made sure everybody in the quarters thinks Spicy is a bad girl. Hence, staying his distance for a spell. As long as Hints and Spicy know the truth, that's all that matters. Aunt T's pot is mighty low. Not enough to make a meal for us, never mind anybody else. Still she tries, sharing what we got. This plantation makes us all kin, she say, not by blood, but by suffering. January cold. My fingers are cold, my feet are cold, my nose is cold. I cough all the time. My head hurts. This is the coldest winter of my life. I stay by the fire, but I'm never warm. In the room over the kitchen, it was always warm and comfortable. I sleep in a fit and wake up tired. I will speak to Miss Lily about getting some of the old blankets in the upstairs room at the big house. Everybody gathered around Aunt T tonight. They seemed to find hope in her spirit to keep going. Somebody sang, "Rabbits in the briar patch, squirrel in the tree. Wish I could go hunting, but I ain't free. Roosters in the hen house, hens in the patch. Love to go shooting, but I ain't free." "We going to eat tomorrow," said Aunt T. "Don't you worry." Next day. Most times Miss Lily is cold and mean. Today she found a little kind piece hidden away in a pocket of her heart. I told her how bad it was in the quarters. It has been a bad winter. She let us take quilts and shirts and shoes down to the quarters, boxes of stuff. It was like the big times all over again. While Miss Lily was busy helping me in the attic, Aunt T slipped and wrung the necks of two hens and had them in the pot with dumplings before anybody could say, "How do you do?" Aunt T was good on her word. We ate good tonight. A day or so later, my head hurts, my arms and legs hurt, even my teeth hurt. I can't write anymore. Early February. I don't know what day of the week it is. They tell me I've been sick with an awful fever. Aunt T and Spicy used teas and salves, but it was Mama's love that pulled me through. Whilst I was in a fever dreaming, Mama come to me all soft and gentle. "Get well, daughter. Live and grow strong." Then she told me something that's really got me studying on the meaning. She say something Rufus used to always say. To the one God gives much, much is asked in return. Then I saw Rufus standing with Mama. He say, "You've been given much, Clotee. You can read and write when others can't. Now you must put your learning to good use. Use your learning." Use it to do what? Week later. I'm feeling better every day, still wobbly. I'm back working in the kitchen in the big house. After the dishes were done from the midday meal, I walked to the woods. It's not nearly as cold as it has been. Most of the snow is melted. I passed the cemetery and spent a minute with Uncle Heb, and I remembered Rufus and Aggie, Wook and baby Noah, who never got a chance to live. Then I moved down toward the river. I wrote FREEDOM in the mud. It still has no picture. Maybe my dream meant that I should run to freedom up in the Philadelphia, the New York, or the Boston, and then use my reading and writing to help the abolitionists. Is that what I should do, Mama? How would I run away? Monday. I know it's Monday because Miss Lily come to the kitchen to pass out the flour, sugar, and meal. She gave Missy a pretty scarf to wear on her head. Then she swooshed past me with her head in the air. Suddenly I got an understanding. Miss Lily is like a spoiled, silly girl, playing silly games with people's lives. She's like a little girl in a big woman's body. Pitiful. Tuesday, it's a winter thaw. Day was almost warm, but Auntie say it's a fooler. I wandered down to the spot where I had seen Mr. Harms talking to the one-eyed man. No reason, just did. I heard the crackle of leaves underfoot. I stopped, stood dead still, listening, waiting for what I didn't know. "Clotee, over here. It's me, Mr. Harms." I was sure glad to see Mr. Harms, and I told him so. He wondered why I had come to that place just then. I don't know, sir. I just came. I will always believe Mama guided me there. I thought you'd be in the Boston by now, I said. No, he said, laughing, but this is my last run. My partner and I are too well known in the Tidewater. I'll move on after we take the next group out. Who will be the conductor here at Belmont? I asked him. We don't have a conductor here. That's too bad. Belmont is an important link on the railroad. The abolitionists will find someone, won't they? I pulled myself tall. Sir, I want to go with you to freedom. I'll work hard and help the abolitionists in any way I can. Please say I can come. Clotee, you don't have to beg. Of course you can come. Be here on the next dark of the moon. Bring fresh water, but travel light. Bring only what you need. It is a dangerous journey, Clotee, but you are no stranger to danger. You are a remarkable girl, and we abolitionists will be proud to have you in our ranks. Mr. Harms hugged me. Take care, little Clotee. Thanks, Spicy, for what she did. I have a feeling you were in on it too. I nodded. Tell Hintz I hold no hard feelings. In his shoes, I might have done the same thing. Then, if possible, find some way to say thank you to William. Wednesday. I've told Aunt T and Spicy about seeing Mr. Harms and how he was planning another runaway on the next dark of the moon. But as hard as I try, I can't get Aunt T to go with me. Spicy wants to go, though, because Hintz is going to be leaving soon as his papers clear. I'm too old, child, say Aunt T. Besides, I can't leave Uncle Heb. I lived with him. I'll be buried side of him, too. But you go on, honey. Go to that freedom here on earth. Going without Aunt T? That would be like losing Mama again. Next day, the Campbells came to Belmont on their way back to the deep South. We come for our property, said Silas Campbell. He's a free man, said Mance Henley. I must have polished all the brass off the master's doorknob trying to hear what was being said. You had no right to sell what didn't belong to you. Take me to court, said Mance Henley. We'll do just that, said the Campbells, and they stormed out of the house. Now what do we do? Monday again. Since Mr. Harms got run away, Miss Lily's been trying to teach William so he can get into Overton school. Unteach is better to say. William won't have none of it. He gets about nicely with two canes. Pretty soon he'll be walking without them. When William saw me watching from the hallway, he waved. Later, I stopped by his room. He was playing with Shadow. If Mr. Harms had had the time, he would have said thank you, I said. I'm sure he would have, said William. I think the message got through. Week later. I write this with a heavy heart. The judge ruled that Hintz was not free because he didn't belong to Mance Henley when he freed him. The free papers he wrote ain't worth a lame horse. The Campbells are coming to get Hintz Monday week on their way back south. I've cried dry. Aunt T and Spicy have too. We've got to stop crying and start thinking. Monday, I hope. We're on the top of page 158. Just when you get to thinking that times can't get no worse, something else happens. The weather's like that too. Fooled us into believing spring was almost here, but it snowed again today, all day. I was dusting Mance Henley's study. I came across a paper that say he was selling Spicy to a man named Mobile, Alabama. They're coming for her on Tuesday week. Spicy and Hintz say they won't be separated, rather be dead first. Talk like that makes a cold chill go up my back. What are we gonna do? Spicy asked me, right pitiful like. You the one had the idea that saved Mr. Harms. Can't you think of a way to help me and Hintz? There are abolitionists and conductors on the Underground Railroad who want to help us. We ain't got time to wait on them. This time we got to do it ourselves. We got to make an escape plan. Saturday, I was reading Spicy's Bible when I turned to a page where somebody had written, My baby girl was born on February 28th, 1844. I showed it to Spicy. Mama must have wrote that in the Bible, she said, touching the words with her fingers. She could read and write like you, Clotee. Like you too, Spicy. You done learn how to write your name in lots of words. With a little more practicing, you'll be writing real good. My mama wanted to name me Rose, Spicy said. I wrote in Spicy's Bible, Spicy's real name is Rose. Do you believe that everything in the Bible is true? I asked. She nodded. I wrote your real name in your Bible, the name your mama wanted you to be called, Rose. From now on, you are Rose. Shortly after midnight Sunday morning, there is a terrible thunderstorm raging outside. We had to call off the run, but we have to go no later than tomorrow. Monday, I put my plan to work at first light. We dressed Spicy as a boy slave. I gave her a bundle. It's our quilt. I told her, you should keep it. She didn't have time to fuss with me about it. Hints looks so much like a white man, we dressed him in one of Mass Henley's old suits I sneaked out of the attic. I ain't never had a suit of clothes before, he said. We tucked Spicy's Bible under his arm. You look like a for real preacher man, said Aunt T, hugging them both and giving them a biscuit and water for a day. Time to go. You know what to do now? Just as we planned, we slipped down to the barn. Hints mounted big can. Being very careful not to make a sound, I eased them through the woods, past the cemetery, toward the river. I had already done my hugging and farewelling, so I just watched them ride downstream along the bank until they was out of sight. I slipped back on the other side of the orchards into the cabin where Auntie and I sat holding each other until dawn. By then I had stopped trembling. Think they'll make it? Tuesday. Hints and Spicy wasn't missed until the Campbells came for Hints on Monday. Miss Henley crashed into Auntie's cabin, wanting us to tell him where Hints and Spicy had gone. Auntie stayed calm. We don't know a thing about that. We all went to sleep together, and when we woke up, same as you, they was gone. I don't believe a word you're saying. I don't trust any of you, he shouted and carried on. The Campbells didn't seem too upset. We'll take Canterbury's watch then. That's the horse. But when they get to the horse, it too was gone. Then the Campbells say that Mass Henley was trying to cheat them. They say they was going to take him to court. Mass Henley went to talking fast. I'll pay you for your losses, he said, adding, and for whatever whatever that big word was, I may have caused you. Cash, said Silas Campbell. No marker. Long about that time, the slavers came for Spicy. The boy and gal have run away, Mr. Henley told them. He had to pay the slavers back for their money for Spicy. I was beside myself with joy. Joy in the morning. Serves him good. William and Miss Lily came out on the porch. People from the quarters were also gathering to see what was going on. Miss Lily swooned, but nobody bothered to catch her when she fainted. Miss Henley and Waite set out to find Spicy and Hints, but they are long gone. I was as happy as Daniel and David all in one. Next day, I studied the sun today. It's different. I feel that winter is almost over. We will have more cold days, but the bitter times are over. We've made it through in more ways than one. Next day, Mass Henley come back after a search, saying he had found and killed both Spicy and Hints. He showed no proof. Besides, where was Big Can? If he'd really caught them, he would have brought back the horse for sure. I don't believe him. I won't believe him. Spicy and Hints made it. If they hadn't, I'd feel it. Day later, the dark of the moon is coming. It will be time for me to make my run to freedom. I should be happy. I'm an abolitionist and I want to end slavery. I can't do that being a slave on a plantation. Can I? Later, Mr. Harms says there's no conductor on the Underground Railroad here at Belmont. If the station closes, what will happen to the runaways coming through here? Some might get caught. Some might get drowned, like Rufus, Aggie, Wook, and baby Noah. But if they had someone here to help them, to show them the way. Later, this station can't close. Dark of the moon. A moonless night is scary, especially in the woods when it's cloudy. I sang the Underground Railroad song, the one Mr. Harms said to signal him with. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over. Mr. Harms met me as planned, rising up out of the darkness like a ghost. I felt better when I saw the runaways huddled together, fearing what was behind, fearing what was in front of them. Spicy and Hints ain't going, I say, telling him how I helped them get away. I've heard about their getaway. Mr. Harms already knew about it? Have you heard if they're safe? My heart was pounding from wondering and worrying. I rather know a bad thing than not to know it. Our conductors tell me Spicy and Hints are in northern waters on their way to Canada. Where'd you come up with such a good idea? He asked, smiling. It seemed easy enough to me. Hints passed as a white man traveling with his slave. When they got to Richmond, Hints sold Canterbury's watch to a kind man who will give Can a good home. I had made out the papers to show the horse had been sold to Hints Henley, a cousin of Mas Henley's. I had copied his signature too. Hints used the money to buy tickets on the first steamship heading north, just like I told him. Some of our people who were on the boat said Hints had won a large amount of money gambling with a group of wealthy young men who found him quite charming. I could just see him now, teasing, smiling. They never suspected he was a runaway slave. Now it's time to get you out of here, Clotee, said Mr. Harms. Have you found a person to be the conductor here at Belmont? No, we haven't. I'm not going with you now. I want to stay here and be a conductor on the Underground Railroad at this station. Next night. I didn't sleep last night, and when I did, it was fitful. Had I done the right thing? I kept seeing Mama's face. She was smiling, and that made me feel better. Mr. Harms made me promise to meet him at the river again tonight. I did. It is too dangerous for you to be a conductor, said Mr. Harms. You're just a child. I'm young, sir, all due respect, but I'm not a child, I told him. I'm an abolitionist, and I'm needed. Anyway, it was my idea that saved you from the sheriff. It was my plan that got Spicy and Hints away. I can do it. Oh, I have no doubt that you're up to the job, said Mr. Harms. You're a remarkable young lady, and I'm proud of you. But don't you want to be free? I had talked this over with myself long and hard, so I knew what I felt. Yes, sir, I want to be free. But most of all, I want slavery to end for everybody. I read in one of your papers that it's not right for anybody to be slaves. So that's why I want to stay, to make an end to slavery. Mr. Harms looked surprised and pleased. You have a better understanding of freedom than most people do, said Mr. Harms. It was my time to look surprised. Freedom is about making choices and learning from them, he said. You've made the choice to stay here. The conductor's job is yours as long as you want it. But remember, he added, the first sign of trouble, you must get out of here. Promise? I promised. Into March. We are turning the ground for the new crop. Backbreaking work. I'm not as afraid as I once was. I don't let my fear stop me from my work. I've started teaching a few trusted slaves to write. It's scary because I know if they are ever really put to a hard test, they will probably turn me in. But I can't worry about that now. If I don't teach them, who will? Ms. Lily has put me in the fields. I'm happy here because I'm making more and more choices. I see why Spicy wanted to be out here, away from Ms. Lily and Mas Henley, who are as mean as ever. So is Waith. Since Spicy and Hints ran away, Waith's been very hard on us. We try not to give him reasons to beat us, but he still finds them. When it's time for me to teach school, or when it's time for a runaway, we know how to handle Waith. See, he took a liking to Aunt T's root tea, so we just put a little sleeping herb in Waith's tea. He never knows the difference. Sunday. Without us even noticing it, spring has pushed up everywhere. Easter came and went. We will celebrate Aunt T's birthday. The orchards bloomed weeks ago. No late frost got them, so we'll have a good crop of apples this year. Uncle Heb's garden is in bloom. Miss Henley finally realized how much work it takes to keep Belmont grounds looking beautiful. April 1860. I haven't written in a long time, 1 month maybe. Since I'm not in the big house, it's hard for me to get paper to add to my diary, but I can scratch in the dirt, and I do, practicing and teaching others. William is going off to school in Missouri, and Ms. Lily is trying to die because it ain't Overton. I got a feeling that boy was really affected by Mr. Harms, more than anybody will ever know, other than me. Who knows? William might end up being an abolitionist. Now, wouldn't that take the cake? Naz Henley finally got tired of eating Eva Mae's bad cooking. He sent her back to the fields, then brought in a new cook from New Orleans. Uses lots of peppers. Nobody will ever be as good as Aunt T at cooking fried chicken and whipped potatoes, and he knows it. Miss Lily has made Missy her pet. Missy don't speak and never comes to the quarters, not even to see her mama. Missy wears all kinds of pretty dresses, but she can't be too happy, not living under Miss Lily day after day. Aunt T is busy all the time, picking wild greens, making potions, birthing babies, and helping me make plans for runaways. A group will be passing through Belmont in a few days. Full moon, April 1860. Aunt T sang the signal. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. A group of 3 runaways found their way to the Belmont station tonight. One of them was a girl about 10. She was so scared. I pressed a little bit in her hand. She will keep you company, I said. The girl managed a weak smile. I had their passes written. Aunt T had their food and water ready. Soon a man dressed in black rode up to the bank, making not a splash with his oars. Come quickly. He was my partner, but we'd never talked or seen each other. Safer that way. He sounded like a foreigner. See you next time, he said. I never saw his face. Quickly and quietly, the runaways got in the boat and rowed away. I don't think I took a breath until they were out of sight. Sitting here next to Auntie in the cabin, I feel good about staying for now. One day I'll see the Philadelphia, the New York, and the Boston. Maybe I'll make my own run for freedom next year, or maybe the next. Until then, I have plenty of work to do. Next day, I have just enough paper and berry ink to write one more time. The morning bell will ring soon, and I'll have to go to the fields. There's time to write a few words. I've decided to begin with FREEDOM, freedom. I let the memory pictures take shape in my mind. Mr. Harms is safe and able to go on with his work. Hints and Spicy are free and together. I remembered the little girl I'd helped the night before, and I smiled. My doll little bit would be free before me. Freedom. I remembered what Mr. Harms had said about choices. I looked at the letters more closely. For the first time, freedom showed me a clear picture, a picture of me. That's the end. The next recording will be of the epilogue. An epilogue is like a final wrap-up chapter. Okay, you guys do a good job on your questions. I love you. Be good.